Hey friends, welcome to video 7 of a 30 video playlist series talking about how to start a raw vegan diet. So today we're going to be talking about grocery shopping. How do we grocery shop as raw vegans? How often do we go? What are some of the staples? Let's get into that in this video. Thank you again for joining me for another video on how to start a raw diet. If you're enjoying these videos, please don't hesitate to click like and subscribe to the channel. If you want notifications, don't forget to click the bell and they'll be sent directly to you whenever I post a new video. Before we begin, we have 40% off all of our raw vegan recipe books. The link is here and the code is NiceCream40. You can find the link also in the description box below. So let's talk about grocery shopping. It's definitely a different experience grocery shopping on a raw diet as it is from shopping, just eating regular cooked foods and processed foods and animal products. As a raw vegan, we're really only going to be shopping in the produce section, the bulk section, and maybe the spice section. That's really the only places we go. Sometimes we might need something from somewhere else, but it's very rare. So produce is where we're going to spend most of our time. And I would say some of the produce staples that Nate and I love to have always on hand is obviously fruit, bananas being the number one. We will buy cases of bananas at a time because we eat a lot of ice cream and we use bananas as a base for pretty much all of our smoothies. So bananas definitely are a staple, as are dates. I would say the majority of my calories for energy every day come from bananas, dates, and other fruit. That's where I'm getting the majority of my calories. Dates are there to boost my calories for the day, so I constantly have energy. I'm not feeling tired. I've got that to help sustain me through the day. And then other fruit, obviously, so that we get variety, because we don't want to have only a couple things in our diet. We want to have a good variety. But for staples, bananas, dates, and then other fruits like mangoes, it really depends on what's in season. Mangoes, pineapples, oranges, grapefruits. Nate loves eating grapefruits and his citrus. We always keep lemons and limes on hand because we go through quite a few every day, normally with lunch and with dinner, and our lemon water in the morning. So we do go through a lot of citrus. We'll buy bags of them. Finding places to get the deals and sales on bulk is really good too. We always call ahead to our produce department in our local places and ask if they have cases of ripe bananas and what they're doing with them. There is a store here in Medford, Food for Less, and they typically have cases of already ripe bananas and they'll mark them down to $4.99. So plenty of times we will get a 40-pound case of bananas for $5, which is great considering we go through a lot of them. Sometimes we'll even get 2 or even 3 cases if we have room in the freezer for more bananas. We try to keep the bananas also kind of in rotation. So we'll have really ripe ones, we'll have sort of ripe ones, and we'll have green ones. So we always have a constant supply of bananas, never want to run out of those. But as for snacks, always looking for those fruits that you can easily use for snacks. We like grapes. That's something that we use a lot of. We'll bring them home and wash them right away, put them in a container so that we can always munch on those throughout the day as needed. Again, bananas are great for snacks, plums and nectarines, and you name it. Any fruit you want to get is going to be a staple for you. Try to get in season and local where possible, but get as much fruit as you possibly can. The next staples would be things like romaine lettuce. We use so much romaine lettuce. I think I've had romaine lettuce pretty much every single day for 6 years. I put it in all of my salads. I use it as wraps. I use them as dippers to dip in dressings, and I just eat a lot of romaine lettuce. But I also rotate other greens like kale, and if mustard greens are in season or I can find them, I love mustard greens. Arugula, spring mix, even spinach. I don't eat a lot of spinach, but that's an option too. I'll rotate those through. Iceberg lettuce is another one. And we always have staples of cabbage. We have the purple cabbage and the green cabbage. quite often in our fridge. So those are staples as well in our diet, as are tomatoes. Tomatoes are my absolute favorite. And I know not everyone can have tomatoes because some people are sensitive to the nightshade, but we aren't, and we eat a lot of tomatoes. So those are staples, as well as cucumbers. We eat a lot of cucumbers. We like to spiralize those in our salads and use them as a noodle base for a sauce or something. We don't eat a lot of zucchini. We do eat a lot of mushrooms. And onions and garlic, lots of onions and garlic. Turmeric is another good one too, and sprouts. Again, we'll be talking about sprouting in the future. If you're not able to sprout on your own, you can always get sprouts from the grocery store as well. But those would be some of the staples. And I know there's so many foods, but those are the things that we typically buy all the time. Sun-dried tomatoes as well, you can make your own. Roma is really good, or cherry tomatoes, just cut them in half and put them on a dehydrator tray, or even just sun dry them out in the sun is good. Sun-dried tomatoes we use in a lot of our dressings. But yeah, as for staples, I think that's pretty much everything. Bell peppers are on that list too. Basically anything in the produce department. When it comes to bulk, nuts and seeds, chia seeds are a big part of our lifestyle. We add them to our lunch dressings. What else would be staples? We do use some non-raw ingredients like nutritional yeast, coconut aminos, and some spices like smoked paprika is not raw, but again, there's lots of videos in those playlist series. I could talk about them for 5 minutes in this video, but I will save that for its own specific video about non-raw items on a raw diet. But yeah, so as for staples, I would say that's pretty much the bulk of it. Green onions as well. There's a lot of stuff that we have as staples, but when it comes to how often we shop, I would say it's anywhere between 2 and 4 days. Every 2 and 4 days, we'll go shopping. Sometimes we only need a couple things and the store is right by our house. It's really only like maybe a 5 to 7 minute walk away. So we'll go over there and grab a couple things that we might need for any recipes that we want to make. But we do big shops about twice a week. So we typically go on a Tuesday and maybe on a Saturday or a Sunday. The Sunday shop tends to be the bigger one, and then Tuesday is kind of a top-up one. Or if we need to go throughout the week, we'll kind of just wing it, whatever works. But we try to get our romaine lettuce, our lemons and limes, our other fruit, our cases of bananas and everything when we go into town on Sundays. And during the rest of the week, we rely on the local stores that are just around us for the bulk of the rest of what's here. And we also go to the farmer's market. It's closed right now in the winter, but in the summertime, we like to go there every Tuesday and get some local goods, deliciousness. I love the garlic there, and they have amazing green onions that are massive. So going to the markets are really good. But yeah, you're going to need to shop a little bit more often on a raw diet, but the reason is because we don't like food that's wilting. We don't like old stuff that is supposed to be fresh. It's different than a standard diet because a lot of the stuff that you buy from the grocery store, you only need to go once or twice a month because you're going to stock up on dried goods like pastas, and maybe you're going to freeze a lot of the food that you can just throw in the oven. So a lot of times we're only going and making big shops maybe twice a month, 1 or 2 times a month. On raw, you're going to need to go more often. The bonus to that is A, fresher food, as mentioned, but also B, you're going to spend less money because you're not going to buy a whole bunch of stuff that you don't need. You're only going to buy what you need for the next couple of days or the next 4 days or so, however long you're going to go in between. You're going to have fresher stuff and it's going to cost a lot less. For budgeting purposes, I always say to budget for the winter months because the food in the winter time is always going to be more expensive than in the summertime. So if you can budget for the winter and you'll save money in the summer, it's going to balance itself out. A lot of people say they can only do it in the summer, which is totally fine. Again, remember, not everyone can do a raw diet. If it's not sustainable, then definitely just try to eat more raw and do what you can with what's available to you. So budgeting for the winter so that you have savings in the summer is really nice. And you can use that money towards more food in the winter. You can always get more food in the summertime and freeze it, like berries. You can go berry picking in the summertime and then freeze it so you have frozen berries for your winter smoothies and ice creams. And finally, the topic of organic or not organic. Nate and I don't eat all organic foods. The reason being, it's very expensive, and a lot of times organic produce is still sprayed. Now, it's sprayed less, obviously, and I think organic is great, but if you can't afford it, don't throw a raw diet away just because you can't afford it. Eating conventional produce is so much better than eating junk food, trust me. I'd much rather see people eating conventional produce than going back to eating the junk food and all of that just because they can't get organic. Another thing is that there's not as much variety in the organic world. If you're looking for certain things, you might not be able to find them organically, and thus you're limiting yourself on the variety. Now, eating a clean diet, this is just my personal opinion. I feel that I can deal with the conventional food a lot easier than if I was eating organic processed foods. I think it's so much better to eat those, and my body is clean enough to deal with whatever it needs to do. But again, Nate and I do try to eat a lot of organic. We do have a lot of organic foods in our diet, but we just don't use all organic. And I don't want anyone to feel shameful or not good enough or that they suck. It's not about that. It's about getting more raw food into your diet and getting rid of those other foods. We need to vote with our dollar. Vote with our dollar. I read a study somewhere online, and it said that 76% of people know that junk food is bad for them, but only 4% avoid it completely. So we know it's not good for us. And yes, not everyone can afford the organic, which needs to change. That's a whole other topic. That needs to change. We need to make good, whole, local plant foods more available to people. But the junk food, and by people who can afford junk food are throwing the money at junk food, it's making more junk food. We need to stop feeding these corporations our money and start voting for local produce so that the price changes. We can vote with our dollar. We are in charge of the services that are available to us. And I know not everybody is able to make those choices, but it's up to us that can make those choices to make those choices. We need to make those choices. We need to vote with our dollars so that the produce is a lot more affordable for those who can't get produce. But when it comes down to it, if you can afford to and you have the accessibility to make a choice between junk food and fresh food, always choose the fresh food. Not only are you voting with your dollar, but you're giving yourself health, you're giving yourself hydration, you're being a good example to others, and it's just a better choice. And we need to make better choices with what we're buying and support those local farmers that are doing everything they can to provide you with those fresh foods. So if you like this video, please click like and subscribe to the channel if you want to get notifications for more. You can click the little bell and they'll be sent directly to you whenever I post a new video. You can find me on Instagram at Raw Food Romance and on Facebook, Lissa's Raw Food Romance. You can also enjoy 40% off all of our raw vegan recipe books. The code is NiceCream40. The link is right here, as well as in the description box below, where you can find links to the print versions available on Amazon. Again, code doesn't apply, unfortunately, but if you want the print versions, they are available there. And the playlist for all the videos in this video series is available in the description box too. I hope you have a wonderful time shopping, getting all of that fresh, delicious produce in your cart and in your fridge and eventually in your belly. I love you all, and I'll see you tomorrow. Fruit on.